Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm bringing you guys a battle for Week 1 of the WPA. Now, this was a very cool league that I had joined, run by my good pals Jacob as always, and Phantom Base, aka Tyler. I'm putting up my Week 1 battle, but unfortunately I'm not going to be continuing with this league. There is a announcement video that I'm going to be putting down in the description of this video that you guys can go check out to see why I'm not able to continue with this season. But I did want to upload my battle because it was really fun, and I've been wanting to rematch with Jacob for a while now. He seems to always get the better of me, so I wanted an opportunity to try and beat him. And so a few things to know about the WPA. It is sort of like a Ubers league. There are certain mons that were allowed, like on my team I do have Deoxys. He has Aegislash. Other mons like Ho-Oh and Reshiram and Dialga and Palkia were all allowed. You know, that's just a small list of the mons. It's obviously not everything. They didn't allow certain other things like Mega Gengar, Mega Lucario, Mega Salamence. I'm not really sure why, because if you're allowing things like Ho-Oh, you might as well allow all the other broken stuff that are in the league. But I digress. We did end up with the team that you can kind of see on the screen here. We have Mega Heracross, Clefable, Zebstrika, Crocodile, Swellow, Manaphy, Deoxys, Heatran, Delmice, Dragalge, and Sudowoodo. So, Jacob has a really scary team. He is my week 1 opponent, as I mentioned. He is the coach of the Green Bay Pikachus, and he has Aegislash, Mega Lopunny, Mew, Greninja, Tangrowth, Nidoking, Thundurus Eye, Slurpuff, Druddigon, whatever that thing is called. What is this thing's name? I can't remember. Oriolus? Yeah, that's what it is. Houndoom and Pineco. So, his team is really, really scary. The combination of Lopunny and Aegislash is really nice, because the main checks to Lopunny, being like Psychic types and Fairy types, are both obviously threatened quite a bit by Aegislash. So, they're pressured quite a bit. There's a lot of other threats on his team as well. Nidoking is extremely scary, because I think my team on average is pretty balanced. You know, I guess I have like Manaphy and Swellow and Deoxys that are all sort of not, you know, those are more offensive mons, but otherwise that mon eats my team for breakfast. Belly Drum Slurpuff is extremely scary. Setup Mew is very scary. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough matchup. But I want to quickly go through my team, and then we'll just hop right on into the battle. So I do have Kelly, my Mega Heracross. We're running a very bulky set. This is meant to be my primary switch into Aegislash. Because I don't really have any other way to deal with it, except just to use a really fat mon like Heracross. Because this thing obviously does have really good defenses on all sides. So we're running Earthquake with Rock Blast, Pin Missile, Arm Thrust. Earthquake because I didn't want to use Knockoff. Because potentially Knockoff will run into King's Shield, and I'll get a -2 attack drop. But with Earthquake, it doesn't make any contact, so it makes sense to use that. Rock Blast is, you know, general coverage versus team, like versus things like Thundurus. Thundurus otherwise would wall the coverage of Earthquake, Pin Missile, and Arm Thrust. So yeah, this thing, you know, it can break through certain mons on his team, like Aegislash, like I mentioned, and also, you know, it's got moves for Aurorus, for Houndoom, whatever. But yeah, mainly there for Aegislash. Next, we do have a physically defensive Clefable. This is the primary Lopunny check. And I wanted to bring Clefable with Wish, because this would allow me to heal up my Heracross as the match went on. Because Heracross obviously doesn't have any of its own forms of recovery. So Wish Protect. Encore is there for Aegislash, that is going for King's Shield. So we can Encore it into King's Shield, because it's different than Protect. Like, status moves do go through King's Shield, which is extremely nice. And the Moon Blast for obligatory stab. Yeah, then we just put a little bit of speed on here in case he wants to speed creep his Aegislash on my Clefable. Just because, you know, that, you know, is obviously be pretty nice to have Clefable. Let's do that thing. Next, we have an Expert Belt Zebstrika. This is my primary response for Thundurus. Because we do have Lightning Rod, which makes us immune to its electric type attacks, so it has to hit us with coverage, which, you know, if it's at +2, we'll still do a chunk, for sure, but it's otherwise not so bad. The moveset that we have here is pretty neat. Double Electric Stab, Overheat for hitting his Tangrowth and things like that. But then Me First I thought was really cool. because it allows me to copy an Earth Power if Nidoking wants to go for Earth Power. It allows me to copy HP Ice if something like Thundurus wants to go for HP Ice, and etc, etc. So we have just enough speed on this thing to outspeed Thundurus. And I think, is that the fastest member? I guess other than like Lopunny and Greninja, that's the fastest member of his team. There's not any sense in going max speed. So yeah, that is the Zebstrika set. It's also there, you know, it can hit Greninja super effectively. Not that I outspeed, but you know, you never know. Next we have a Crocodile with Chople Berry, Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Knockoff Rock Slide. The Rock Slide is again just for Thundurus, just because it does sort of wall me potentially. If I think it's his Z move user, so like Knockoff and EQ are not great moves for hitting it. I guess Knockoff still does a reasonable amount of damage, but Chople Berry allows me to take a Focus Blast from Thundurus if he chooses to go for it. It also allows me to deal with fighting type moves on Mew. Mew obviously does get things like Vacuum Wave, Focus Blast, Aura Sphere, Drain Punch, etc, etc. So we can live those things all a little bit more easily. And yeah, it's also a really nice way to pressure Aegislash, obviously, because I have dual stabs. So quite nice. Pretty standard looking spread here, just enough to outspeed whatever his base 85 is, which is Nidoking. So next we do have Swellow. Swellow is a monster versus his team. Boom Burst hits everything not named Aegislash or Oriolus, and so Heat Wave is obviously there for Aegislash, and Hidden Power Fighting is there for Oriolus, although I doubt Oriolus really takes Boom Burst or Heat Wave all that well. And last move is U-Turn. Have enough speed on this thing just for Greninja. Yeah, so really, really standard Swellow set, but obviously, like, Swellow applies so much pressure. And then last but not least, we do have a Z Rain Dance Manaphy, which is extremely nice. I only need to run Modest Nature, because I can outspeed almost this entire team at +1. And Surf plus Ice Beam hits pretty much everything. It's true that Greninja technically resists both Surf and Ice Beam, but Greninja doesn't take a +3 Surf in the Rain, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, like if I can just whittle certain things on his team, like Tangrowth, and Tangrowth is, you know, kind of pressured to take on things like my Crocodile and my Zebstrika, I can then use Manaphy to pretty much plow through his team. He doesn't really have anything else that can potentially chew. Maybe like a Yache Berry, Druddigon or something like that, or a bulky Mew, Assault Vest Mew or whatever. Aegislash, I don't even think Aegislash takes a +3 Surf and Rain, so looking pretty nice. Really excited to see how this match shakes out. And with that, we'll just hop right on into the battle. So as you can see, Jacob has selected to bring Greninja, Nidoking, Mew, Lopunny, Slurpuff, and Aegislash. So not any major surprises here. I am surprised not to see like any form of Tangrowth on the team, just because, like I mentioned, that's probably the best way of dealing with Manaphy. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Like if he wants to bring a Yache Berry Tangrowth, he's going to be wanting to switch in Tangrowth potentially on Crocodile, and then I'd have the opportunity to knock off that Yache Berry. So maybe he's decided it wasn't worth it. Looking at his team, I have nothing whatsoever for Belly Drum Slurpuff, so I don't really know what my plan was going to be for that. I guess I could have brought like an Unaware Clef, but obviously I didn't. So that thing can be extremely scary. I can't let that thing take any free setup opportunities. That would be extremely, extremely bad. So in terms of leads, I can lead off with Swellow, and versus like pretty much anything not named Lopunny, I can just U-turn out. Because he should be pivoting default into Aegislash, and that gives me a good chance to go into my Heracross and begin pressuring his team. Because I can't just pretty freely go for Earthquake, he has no ground resistance on his team. So that's going to be my plan. We're going to hit start, and we're going to say good luck, have fun to Jacob, and we'll see how this match goes. So, yeah, basically I just need to get damage on his Mew, because that kind of seems like the bulkiest thing he has for dealing with Manaphy, and then I think we can set up a Z-Rain Dance and pretty much win the game. It'll just be a question of like if his Lopunny has Fake Out and how much chip damage he's going to be able to do throughout the game. So he does lead off with his Greninja, nice shiny Greninja. And he actually goes for a U-turn. So this reveals, of course, that his Greninja is Scarf, which is very good to know. I guess he just went for U-turn in case I was Scarf. I guess a Scarf Boom Burst still would have done a pretty decent chunk of damage. But, you know, he could have gone for Ice Beam or something and potentially taken me out. If he was Scarf and was expecting to outspeed me. But I do luck out, and he goes into his Aegislash like I expected. And this lets me go immediately into my Crocodile. So pretty much going as planned so far. I can easily set up my rocks here, and I don't really know what he's going to be able to pivot in, but nothing really wants to, because I have Earthquake on this thing, he doesn't have any ground resist. This thing is definitely pretty scary. He goes into his Slurpuff, and yeah, I'm really frightened of this thing, so I don't want to let it get any free chances to set up, so I do just go straight for EQ, as it does only like 35, maybe 40% damage, suggesting that this thing is definitely physically defensive. And he does follow up with Sticky Web, and this this Sticky Web is really brutal. I should have seen it coming. I should have brought Hazard Removal on probably Swellow, because I don't think I needed, I could have probably gone without the Hidden Power Fighting. Because Aurorus, like, yes, it does resist the Boom Burst, but Aurorus is a little bit of an unmon. Like, it's really pressured by a lot of the other stuff on my team, like Manaphy, Crocodile, Heracross, etc. So I should have, dropped the coverage for that and put on Defog, just so I have a chance of, getting rid of the Sticky Webs here, because it's going to be pretty hard for me to deal with this Mon otherwise, or not this Mon, but just the rest of his team. Like, my Manaphy, if I set up a Z Tail Glow, I'm no longer outspeeding things like Lopunny or Scarf Nidoking or anything like that. So anyway, he does just go for Wish, as I go into my Clefable, and I set up my own Wish as this Nidoking now sets up, it comes in, and especially under Webs, this thing is really scary. Like, I pretty much just need to pick a sack, because he outspeeds anything not named Swellow. I do decide to go into my Heracross, because I figure I can take one Sludge Wave relatively easily, and he does instead go for Stealth Rock, so that definitely works out for me. If he had gone for Sludge Wave, I was still going to get healed up to a decent amount of HP from that Wish, so I was pretty happy to do that. So I'm just going to go straight for an EQ here, because it does hit this Nidoking, of course, and it does hit the incoming Aegislash. It's kind of funny, like, you're about to see in a second that his Aegislash is actually his designated switch into Heracross. So the fact that my designated switch into Aegislash is my own Heracross, I think is pretty funny. We're trying to check one another, but he does show the Shuka Berry, further supporting that this is his Heracross check. He could have bring Colba Berry, but again, he probably realized that I was probably going to bring EQ. It actually does a little bit more damage to Aegislash, of course, and if he has that King Shield going for him, that would be definitely bad for me. He actually turns out to be pretty speedy, and he has HP Flying, so definitely does a good chunk of damage, but because I am so Spadef invested, I survive pretty easily, and I can follow up with the Earthquake and take this thing out. So, major threat gone, although he chose not to bring, an offensive set on this week. But, I could have potentially had some issues breaking through it. But luckily, this Heracross was able to do the job. And now he does bring his Nidoking back in. And I definitely don't have a switch into this, and my Heracross doesn't have much use, especially with Webs. Like, I just don't really I do underspeed everything. So I decided just to sack it off. And now I can go into my Swellow, and without the Aegislash, Swellow is looking really scary in this matchup. I am just going to go straight for a Boom Burst and expect to collect a kill. And he chooses to sack off his Slurpuff. I think that makes a lot of sense. Slurpuff obviously already did its job setting up Webs, and it is physically defensive, so it was kind of here for the Heracross. It does resist the dual stabs of Heracross. So he was very, very well prepared for Hera. Having basically 2 hard counters to it. And now both of them are gone, which makes sense. So now he can go into his Greninja, and we kind of have to make our own choice here and sack our own Mon. And so I do decide to sack my Zebstrika, because it doesn't outspeed anything with Webs. It's not bulky enough to take a hit from anything, really. I guess I could have sacked something else and then gone right on into this thing to threaten the Greninja out, but as long as he has Nidoking, Nidoking is pretty good at checking Zebstrika, and as I've mentioned a few times now, obviously, since I don't outspeed, Nidoking can just easily kill me. My MLG strats of running me first Zebstrika are not going to work out this week. And then, after the Surf comes out, I do know that he is Scarfed, and so my Manaphy is going to be able to easily come in here, scare out this Greninja. And I'm just going to go straight for a Tail Glow, because there's not a Mon on his team that he can go into to one-hit KO me. So I figure I'll go for a Tail Glow. He does switch into Mew, so that's kind of what I figured. This is kind of like his bulkiest Mon and his best way of dealing with a setup Manaphy. He does go for a Super Fang, which is a pretty smart move. It makes it pretty easy for him to revenge kill with something like Lopunny. And I know that I'm not going to be able to get off a Z Rain Dance or anything, so I just decide to blow him by Z Crystal and hit him up with that Hydro Vortex to do as much damage as possible. Even like a Spadef Assault Vest Mew dies to a +3 Hydro Vortex from Modest Manaphy, so pretty awesome. It's a real bummer that I'm not going to be able to use Manaphy in this season since I am dropping out. But Manaphy has always been a favorite mon of mine. It's really cool. So he does now go into his Lopunny, his A-Rod. When we battled in P4G, I thought A-Rod was referring to Alex Rodriguez, but I later learned that it's referring to Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers, which makes a lot of sense given that his team name is based off of the Green Bay Packers. But, you know, it always has still a little bit of negative connotation to me. I don't know, Jacob. You're scaring me here with your loyalty to these A-Rods. He goes for a Fake Out, which I don't necessarily agree with because I still do have my Clef. And if I had brought in Clef on Fake Out, he would not have been able to kill with the next return, and then I would have had an opportunity to get a huge amount of damage off of this Moonblast, potentially killing it. So yeah, I'm down to 3 Mons. My only play here is to hope that he doubles, or that he goes into Nidoking, and then I make a double into Swellow here, catching that thing off guard. So then he has to either sack his Nidoking, or sack his, sack one of his other Mons, either Lopunny or Greninja. But he just makes the play of staying in and clicking return, and so definitely sucks for me. From his perspective, like, he just needs to basically get damage off on this Clef so that Greninja can sweep with Surf, because I do have just my Crocodile and my Swellow left. Swellow's been taking lots of damage from rocks and things like that, which is definitely annoying. And Crocodile obviously is going to die to Surf. I'm not an Assault Vest or Pasho Berry Crocodile, so definitely going to get killed pretty easily by that. So that's why he decided to stay in with the Lopunny. He just needed to get this thing weakened. So I can definitely understand his thought process there. Was just bummed that we weren't able to pull it off successfully. We do go for a Wish and get ourselves up to a pretty decent amount of HP. I guess I could have gone for another Wish here, as he goes for a Drain Punch. I'm not really sure why he went for Drain Punch. I guess he was just hoping to sack off his Mon here. If I had gone for another Wish, I could have gotten back up to about full HP, and that would have been obviously very good for me. Or I could have wished and then potentially try to heal up Crocodile or something. I don't know. It didn't really make any difference at this point, because now he can just use his Nidoking and Wail on my last 2 Mons. There's an outside chance that I can still pull it back if I find out that this is a Scarf Nidoking. He did have Rocks, which, obviously decreases the chances of him being Rocks just by a little bit. But, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He goes for the Sludge Wave here, and I do go into Nidoking. Sorry, I go into Crocodile on this Nidoking as it clicks Sludge Wave, because we do resist. So yeah, if he's Scarfed, then, he's in a position now where basically he has to then either sack the Nidoking or sack the Greninja. If he's not Scarfed, then he's going to be able to switch up his moves. He's outspeeding me, and will be able to polish off my team anyway. And that's exactly what happens. He does go for the Earth Power, revealing that he is not Scarf. He is most likely a Life Orb. And based on damage rolls and everything, I was pretty sure that it wasn't Scarf, but, maybe he was a weird set where he didn't have a lot of special attack investment, or maybe he's mixed and has a little bit of attack investment. That explains why his attacks don't do more. But anyway, Nidoking is going to get the final kill on Clefable here, and we're going to end up with a actually pretty close 2-0 loss, which, after the Sticky Webs got up, I didn't think the game was even going to be that close. I had no way of handling Sticky Webs, so shout out to Jacob for bringing Webs. Really nice strategy. We had a really nice team otherwise for potentially taking him on, so if we had just brought Defog on Swellow, things might have been a whole lot different. But, it is what it is. So, shout outs to Jacob for a great battle and a great team. Thanks again to him and to Phantom Base for inviting me to WPA. I regret that I'm not going to be able to continue, but there's just a lot going on for me with other leagues. And if you do want to check out the action from the other leagues, go to my channel down below and you'll be able to see a bunch of videos. We do have 3 weeks of MPL uploaded up to this point, and week 4 will be coming out at the end of this upcoming week. Hope you're excited. And again, make sure you check out the announcement video in the description below for the new league that I've joined. I think you guys are really going to like it. So, yeah, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you check out the channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. And until the next time, I'll see you guys later.